Hi, everyone. Welcome to the M2M project, where we fight the darkness and put truth in story. Today, I'm really excited to be introducing a friend of mine, Jackie Giroux, an actress, writer, producer, and director from way back in my past as well. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Sebastian. It's great to be here, but what's really good is you look the same as you did in 1999.
Thank you very much. A little less hair, I think.
Hey, that's the style, right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
Mhm,
And you haven't changed at all either. You're looking
mhm.
great, and it's amazing because it's been like 20 years, I think, since we.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
I should be dating myself, but yeah, 1999.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Well, I guess I say 20 because we did bump into each other a few times at the Tidal Wave Film Festival or Silver Wave
Yeah,
Film Festival, things like that. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did see each other. And you were also in the other film with Rodney, about Rodney. You played a dual role. You were a set of twins.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Just it was just before I moved from the East Coast to Toronto, and that was kind of a parting gift, I guess, if you will, my being able to be involved in another project with you there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's now that film has been retitled. Um, and I should know the title. It'll come to me. But anyway, it's up on Amazon Prime.
Oh, great.
We, yeah, we actually, I'm very excited about this. One thing I decided to do because I'm a little mad at Hollywood, um, probably more than a little mad. But I decided to redo my older films and bring them up to date as best as I could. And I worked with a guy out of Colorado who helped me do it. He's a brilliant, brilliant editor. And so we redid these older films that did not get released in the
Mhm.
United States. We got releases in Canada, sometimes the UK, Germany. Australia was always a big provider for me. And so we did them. And we retitled them. Everybody's the same, but just a little bit more colorful and brighter with better music and a little bit sharper editing. So we also did it with Cuckoo. We call it fake news.
Oh, yeah.
And
I did come across that. Yeah, and I thought that was very timely because that's, of course, a big topic right now. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, that's what we've been doing. And so the night is I can't think of the title. Anyway, it'll come to me. Anyway,
Well, yeah, and
star.
actually, I want to circle back to that actually, but and just before we do, what I thought maybe I could do is just fill everybody in a little bit on what your journey has been to get to where you are. Like you, because I know you started in the acting business. I remember one of the first things I knew about you was that you were involved with The Cross and the Switchblade, which goes
Right.
goes back to a film that in many circles was quite popular. And then
Yeah.
many films after that, a lot of horror films, I guess, things like that. And then how
Yep.
you got
Yep.
into producing and directing and writing. So love to hear that from you.
Well, briefly, I came from a very small town, and I had a guidance counselor tell me you can either get married or become a teacher. And I said, no, I'm going to be an actress. And, rolled her eyes. Well, I hitchhiked to New York and I got a scholarship to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I got the scholarship because they wanted me to go there. I made up this monologue. They said do something from Romeo and Juliet. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't even know who Romeo and Juliet was. I didn't know Orson Welles. I didn't know anything. I graduated with like 25 kids in my class. I just had a drive. Anyway, I started at the American Academy. I got hired right away to be in a play, and I left the academy. I went to a soap opera, Love is a Many Splendored Thing. We did that when it was live. If you screwed up, man, you got in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And so from that, I got the Cross and the Switchblade. And the Cross and the Switchblade was shot in New York City. I worked with Wilkerson, the Reverend Wilkerson. He brought me into Harlem. and I worked with real drug addicts, genuine drug addicts. I took the needle, I did what they did. I didn't take any heroin, but I got into the part through that. It was real method acting. And I had a great director who was an actor called Don Murray. And he was a fabulous director. And he, helped my career tremendously. The movie was brought to LA, and United Artists was scheduled to release it. And then the producer, Dick Ross, decided to go the church route. So, and Hollywood's always had a problem with churches. Even now with the Freedom Angel Studios, they still got a problem. So basically, they went the church route, and I traveled with the movie for 6 months off and on, going to every state in the United States and promoting the movie.
Wow.
And from that, you're right. You would think I would be discovered better, but I ended up doing Dan August with Burt Reynolds, and I became instant friends, and several TV shows at Sam Goldwyn Studios when he was still alive. And then I went into the horror. I did several horror movies, but that are still playing more than Across the Switchblade, I think. I did a lot of movies, went to Costa Rica. Greatest thing I ever did, because Kurt Wallner, who runs the Film Finances Completion Bond Company, his dad produced the film I was in called Sweet Sugar. So, and the reason I'm telling you this is because we cut now to I Want to Produce after To Live and Die in LA with Billy Freakin, cutting all my scenes out. He said, you produce and you change things. Women don't sell tickets, car chases, and men do. So I got this little script, and I went to Film Finances to get a bond because I had a loan on it, a bank loan. And they didn't want to bond it because it was a $500,000 budget. And then finally, Kurt Wallner gave me the bond because he said, my father always remembered your tenacity. And he said, you've acted out every scene in this movie, and we're going to give you the bond. Just do not screw up. And I brought the movie in for $465,000.
Wow.
And it sold for $4 million. That was Distortions, my first movie. Yeah, but it wasn't easy after that either. You would think it would be, but it never gets easier in this business.
Yeah, you think it kind of usually the idea is that it starts to build momentum, but it's still a challenge all the way through.
All the way through. And because of Distortions, I got my second movie, Deadly Intent, for Freeze Entertainment. And I was the first female producer they ever hired. It was all males. And but Deadly Intent didn't do as well. They ended up selling it to ABC, to Weintraub. It was kind of a weak movie, and I had a critic, I still laugh, a drama critic who wrote the review on it, who said, Jackie Giroux's personal life is more exciting than this movie.
My goodness.
So,
Well,
yeah. So you don't always do it right.
yeah.
You don't always do it right.
Well, I mean, granted, though, you probably do have quite an exciting life to speak about, because you've been through so many different experiences. So
yeah,
that's a tough call there.
It is. It always is. You always think you got it right. Nobody sets out to do a bad movie, but somewhere along the line, something doesn't work out. I did Bolt with Richard Grieco and Sean Young, and they hated each other. And I knew they hated each other. And I tried to tell the investor they hate each other. And he said, you got to do that. That's how we're getting distribution. And we had to cut out every love scene, because they looked like they wanted to tear each other's. It could have been a vampire movie, really.
Yeah.
They just hated each other so much.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of a few situations like that. You have to kind of keep them away from each other until the scene, and then everyone goes back to their corners and everything. I don't know if it was like that in that situation, but yeah, it's amazing. Well, it just shows good acting a lot of times too, because when you see it, a lot of times people have no idea, because they seem to get along fine on screen, and then there's all kinds of layers going on in the background.
You have to be an Orson Welles. He got it right. Somehow he knew how to work with personalities, and that's a big plus for it. I've had forever. I had all those women, Sean again, Sean Young, and Diane Ladd, and uh, a lot of female actresses, and they all were measuring each other's dressing room to see whose was larger.
Well,
I mean, one would put a cross, the other one would put a Jewish star, and Sean had to have the Indian stuff that you smolder, and there's stories on every film that are just really, really should be the film itself. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you think because of how much Hollywood in the industry can get into formulas, you'd think that there by now be a formula for getting along in a sense, because when you hear about some of the biggest names, a lot of them are extremely nice to work with because they know that getting along pays off in the long
Yeah.
run. And
Hmm.
so I'm
Hmm.
just when you hear those interesting stories from wherever about people, I don't know, counting Skittles or whatever they're doing in their dressing room, it's still surprising to me that some people still think that works. But I guess maybe they're not measuring it out according to whether or not they're going to get the next job, because for some people I
Yeah.
guess the assumption is that they're going to get the next job anyway.
Yes, they are. Yeah. They look for attention, and you have to give it to them.
Yeah.
I had Sally Kirkland who insisted I sit there and watch every scene, even though I had nothing to do with anything she was doing. I wrote the screenplay and that she was in, and the director was directing her, and she wanted to oversee the director, so she made me sit there and watch her and give her a thumbs up. It's just, it's a juggling act. Not
Yeah.
everybody's like that, but yeah, a lot of them are.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're children. I was married to one. They're children.
Yeah, well, they say sometimes, I mean, as actors, there's a kind of an emotional fragility because we're always trying to
Mhm.
check to see if what we're delivering emotionally gets us
Mhm.
is going to get the
Yeah,
approval of the director or the audience. And
yeah.
most of us, and I don't include myself in this because I am an actor, you do want to hear that feedback, but
Mhm.
in real life every day, people just have to figure out how not to care so much about that stuff in a lot of cases, and it probably keeps some actors anyway in a bit more of a childlike state.
Yes, yes. And I must admit you were not one of those.
Well, thank you, thank you.